Hi everyone, Sailor Pluto, Sailor Underworld Trista here, and today we're going to talk about worship in Sailor Moon, but at first we're going to talk about Christdom in Sailor Moon. Now a lot of Sailor Moon followers out there are going to say that worship has nothing to do with Sailor Moon, or worship being in Sailor Moon's only in there because worship is in true life, you know. Now I know a lot of folks are going to say, oh, how do you even know if there is worship in Sailor Moon's world? Well, first off, Christdom happens to show up a lot in Sailor Moon's world. You know, the first time we even know about, the first time that this comes up is when Sailor Moon, happens to when Serena and Molly and Malvin are out at a burial ground. And Molly's still sad about Nephrite dying because I think it was only like a day or so, maybe a week since that happened. And she meets up with a holy man, and his name's not given, like Deke doesn't give him a name. And I don't know if Viz gives him a name either. I don't really think they do. Well, anyway, Molly talks with him and she's, sad that she left Nephrite. And she says, what if I forget him? And he tells her, you won't forget him if you keep him in your heart. And he wouldn't want you to be sad forever. And she goes, I don't have anything. And he goes, that's not true. I saw you with your friends earlier. And it's these times you could really work, that they could truly help you. Now, also keep in mind that he was a keeper of a rainbow hearse, and he was unaware of this his whole life, until Zoisite took the rainbow hearse from him, and then the fiend, which was inside of that rainbow hearse, took over him. And after God and Jesus working through Sailor Moon heal him of the fiend that Lucifer had take over him, he goes, fighting is a bad thing. We must do all we can to clean it from our lives. Now that was Deke's take on Christdom. Now, Viz's take is mostly just offshooting from Toei's take. It's mostly the same thing. Molly's with Serena and Malvin. She's sad about Nephrite dying, meets up with the holy man, and she's sad that she might forget him. And he tells her, you won't forget him if he's in your heart. And if he was a good man, then he's up in heaven now with God and Jesus now. And the same thing happened, he was a holder of a rainbow hearse, which Zoisite took. The fiend in the rainbow hearse took over him, and after God and Jesus working through Sailor Moon healed him of the fiend that Lucifer had take over him, he goes, do you believe in God? Well, I do. Go to your fellow man, your fellow woman. Now, I know a lot of folks might think that was the only saga, the only saga in the first following to deal with Christdom, but it comes up again. Serena has daydreams of getting wedlocked to Darien, and they're getting wedlocked in some Christdom worship house. I don't know what arm of Christdom it is. You can make up your mind what arm it is, But all we do know is there are crosses or rounds with bunnies, So you can pick and choose whatever worship house, whatever arm of Christdom you belong to, or whatever arm of Christdom you think it is. Any one of those answers could be right, or most likely is right. And that's it. It's not until the fourth following where Tiger Eye goes after a holy woman because he believes that she has Pegasus in her, or has Helios in her dreams, or her goals, or her calling. Now, Pioneer doesn't really bring up anything about this at all. They keep everything in, but they shift what was said. Now when Tiger's Eye goes after the holy woman in the Viz world, which is just offshooting from the Toby world, he then goes, he says, you should forgive every man and woman and love thou's neighbor, even if they happen to be a sinner. And she goes, that is true. And then he shames her and says, oh, you think God and Jesus are going to help you and get you out of this bind. Well, keep in mind, God and Jesus do help her and get her out of bind, working with and through the sailor fighters to do it. And at the end, there was a wedlock at a worship house that she was overseeing. Now, I know in Pioneer they make it out to be that she was, wishing that they were going to have, some kind of song show, and she was hoping that everybody was going to be alright. But in Viz, she was asking God and Jesus to give her strength to carry on her goal, asking God and Jesus to give her strength and help those who don't know about God and Jesus to learn about God and Jesus, and to help her, not be flayed by evil, but to always do good. So, yeah, Pioneer would shift out what was being said, but that doesn't take away worship in Sailor Moon's world, or at least Christdom. Now, I know a lot of Sailor Moon followers out there are going to wonder about Christdom and Sailor Moon, or wonder what worships the sailor fighters themselves belong to. Well, that's hard to say, It's truly hard to say, to be earnest or not. I think Serena is Christdom, but I can't tell you which arm of Christdom she belongs to. For as far as Amy and Ray and Lita and Mina go, as far as Rini or Darian go, or Amara, Michelle, or myself, or Taru go, it's hard to say. But Ernest happens to be Christian Baptist, come from the Christdom Baptist arm of Christdom. But that's about it as far as I know. We know Ray Hino, or Ray, is a Sintunist, But as far as what the other worship of the other sailor fighters being worshipable or not, it doesn't come up. Toei doesn't really bring it up either. And Deke and Viz and Pioneer don't bring it up at all. Except there is a little hint, there's a little thought to let you know that Serena is Christdom. Because, daydreaming being wedlocked in a Christdom worship house with Darian, dealing with a holy man who has a rainbow hearse, dealing with a holy woman who is believed to have Helios in her dreams, but it shifts out not to have Helios in her dreams, but her dreams are wonderful all the same. So tell me, what do you think about this, Christdom and Sailor Moon? And what's your take on it? I, Sailor Pluto, Sailor Underworld, Trista, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.